All right, so describe the Courtier. We talked about this on Wednesday and a little bit on Thursday yesterday. Okay, and we mentioned quite a bit about the Renaissance man. So the Courtier is describing the proper Renaissance man. I kind of gave it away for you already. But I detail a lot of characteristics of the proper Renaissance man during this culture, during this time period. So make sure you guys are jotting that down. Look back to your notes. Yeah, I obviously give you the presentation, so maybe look at that too for this response. As you're working on this, I'm going to come around and check your bell ringers. So as I get to you, just show me from this past week. We should have 5. We started on the 26th. Okay? Yeah, go ahead. You'll have to copy this down then in the back. Okay? All right, let's see what we got. Check it back. What happened these couple of days? Waylon, you want to get out of here? I'll boot you out, just like Mr. Fight did. Keep it up.
Last Friday or was it Monday?
Yeah, Monday you were here.
I think no, maybe not.
Oh, I remember now. I don't know what day it was, but
Yeah.
Yeah, you did the spirit
And I threw away.
Like socialism.
What social? Some type of government or economic system. Why?
Socialism. Socialism. Services. Okay, it's different than what you know. You have your bell ringers on. All right, guys, so of course here we talked about this yesterday and on Wednesday. So this is a work of art. This is a writing, very similar to what we talked about with the prince. Okay, obviously with the prince, it was more of that idea of fitting into the royal family and leadership qualities that every leader should have. Okay, and we mentioned that obviously with the assignment yesterday when it came to Machiavelli. What was he trying to do? What was he trying to do? Go ahead, Aiden.
Trying to.
Yeah, good job. So he's trying to fit into the royal class, right? The royal family. And the way he was doing that is saying that he could be an asset to the royal family by providing assistance, providing leadership qualities to the crown. You guys remember that? It was the assignment we had yesterday. Hopefully you turned it in. That grade is in the grade book already. You got to check on that. All right, the courtier, how's that different now? What was this all about? Courtier. Bryce, go ahead.
Is there someone who's serving?
Okay, yeah, good job. So there's a person that is maybe fitting into this royal family. All right, good. What else can we say about this? Alex, go ahead. Okay, all right, good. So yeah, this is kind of like a king's hand in a way. Good. But what else can we say about the courtier? Dorian. Yeah, good, good, good. So during the Renaissance period, is this a total difference, a shift in ideology than what we saw in the Middle Ages and medieval time? Yeah. So when you see the term Renaissance man, the courtier is really describing what the Renaissance man should be, right? Because the Renaissance was such a cultural shift and a new light, a new look of the world. The courtier is describing how people can fit into this new time period. Does that make sense? So if you don't have that, make sure you put that down. It's detailing and providing a description of what people should be and act like during the Renaissance. Because again, the Renaissance was this huge cultural shift. This was a rebirth, a revival of certain knowledges and ideologies of the time period. So what are some characteristics of the Renaissance man that Courtier describes? This is a slide in our notes, our presentation. Why? Go ahead. Give me a few of them here. Yeah, good job. So when it comes to education, you have to know the understandings of history, of mathematics, sciences, of what was that term we talked about yesterday in the bell ringer? It was an ideology. It is just focusing on education and human interaction, right? Humanism. Yeah, good job. So with humanism, right? So good. So the courtier is describing how people need to understand it when it comes to education and these ideas of academics. Also, what else does it state? You said about religion, right? So with religion comes good qualities of ethics. So when it comes to understanding society, how it's structured, and fitting in a good moral characteristic. So religion, again, that social structure is providing assistance when it comes to being good and moral citizens. Okay. So with religion comes good ethics. With religion provides a sound ability when it comes to morals and values. Good. What else? What else? Brady, go ahead. Yeah, good job. So they had to be charming, right? They had to be witty, right? They had to be knowledgeable. But at the same time, they had to balance with a physical presence as well. When it comes to the sports, right? When it comes to different types of physical activity, people need to have and express these types of attributes. So yeah, you got to be smart, you got to be funny, you got to be knowledgeable, but at the same time, you have to show some sort of physical attributes as well. You got to be knowledgeable of the sports, the events of the time. And what specifically did I talk about yesterday? Sports, or a few of the Renaissance that I mentioned. Alan? Yeah, one was wrestling. Yeah, good job. Right? So wrestling. What else? What else? What else? Another combative sport. It wasn't jousting like we talked during the Middle Ages. It was something else. What? Sword fight. Yeah, good job. Sword fight. Okay, good. Okay, good. What else? Horseback riding. Yeah, good, good. Awesome. All right, is there any questions on the Courtier? Good. Okay, all right. Awesome, awesome. All right, the terms from yesterday. I didn't get to go through all of them yet, but here are your terms. If you maybe didn't copy them all down, these are the terms I'm looking for. So I'll give you a few minutes here to finish these up. These definitions, put them in your own words, please. I don't want to just see you copy and paste them over. That you mean like stage play? Oh yeah, yeah. So when it comes to arts and it comes to performance, like
That's way.
the Oregon Trail, is that what you said?
The thing that they use to transport horses, wagons. That's way in the future.
Yeah. Got a little bit of time. Leroy, you have these terms? Please open up your notebook, please. Cool, man. All right, guys. So we're going to move on here and talk about some of these famous Renaissance artists. Again, you guys know a few of them already, and a lot of it thanks to maybe the Ninja Turtles, right? But anyway, first one, we're going to talk about Leonardo da Vinci. So with your vocab, what do we know about da Vinci? Bryce, go ahead.
He was an artist,
Good.
an engineer, and scientist.
Awesome. Yeah, good job. Good job. So that's something interesting that people maybe forget about da Vinci. And he was always trying to understand the ideas of flight. So way back before, obviously, the Wright brothers came up with the airplane, he was designing mechanisms of flight. I don't know if he ever really tried them out, but if anything, he drew them out and he tried to describe a little bit how to perform flight. Okay, there's many different views of it. Okay, he made this one, it almost looks like a huge, in a way, it almost looks like it straps to the back of someone like Batman might fly. I'm sure you guys know Batman a little bit. I love Batman. Anyway, he has these huge wings that look like bat wings that he was trying to understand with gliding and flight. Oh, and this one here, it kind of looks like a spiral, a spindle in a way. It would sit in the center, and it was more like a parachute. So you jump off, let's say, a building, and you would spiral down to the ground very slow and elegant. Good, good. So yeah, when it comes to engineering, he was fascinated with flight. Yeah, there's many different types of drawings and pictures that he drew when it comes to the idea of flight. Go ahead, Aiden.
Do you think any of his ideas would have worked?
Would they have worked? Probably not. I mean, I see where his viewpoints are, his ideas when it comes to flight and understanding. But with the material of the time, I don't know if he would have had the ability, the resources to create these types of flying machines. And some of them just really aren't realistic. Yeah. But yeah, he was still trying to interpret, trying to understand it. If anything, he was looking at animals and how they fly, but we just don't have the structure, the muscle frame to do so, like let's say a bird can do. But anyway, he was trying to figure it out. Right. Obviously, you guys know the Mona Lisa. I'm sure you've seen that before. And this famous painting. And many people have so many interpretations of the Mona Lisa, what it's actually trying to portray. And a lot of people are explaining it as, oh, this is the viewpoint of the woman. Okay, and a lot of it detailing around religion. So a lot of these forms of artwork during the Renaissance are depicting, like David, right? Where David was by King David. And talk a little bit about Mary, okay, obviously the mother of Jesus, depicting her looks, her elegance. And with the Mona Lisa, again, is she frowning? Is she smiling? That's always a question. So what do you guys think? She's frowning, is she smiling?
She's like grinning.
Grinning, yeah, smirk, that's what everybody says, yeah.
She's smiling with her eyes. Wait, no, she's smiling.
She's like a little bit angry.
A little bit, yeah, it's like someone making noises constantly in class.
She's smiling with her
Yeah.
lips.
Look at
And
that.
she's frowning with her eyes.
Yeah, okay, all right, yeah, so when it comes to her perspective or appearance, guys. All right, so a lot of people are saying, oh, when it comes to the realization of the time of humanism, okay, this is a total change in lifestyle. And again, when it comes to maybe the frown, it might be looking back to the Middle Ages, medieval times, and realizing how life was totally different. Everything was focused around religion, what we talked about. Again, there's a lot of interpretations around it. A lot of people say that the woman that he was painting, obviously that she was sitting there as he was painting and kind of making a resemblance off of it, that she lost a baby, and at the same time in the past, and at the same time she just had a baby, so she was like, you know what, I'm pretty sad about losing a baby. At the same time, I just had a baby, so I'm cheerful and happy, but I could have two lives here, not rather than just one. So maybe that's why. Again, a lot of people are trying to interpret and understand it, but it's difficult to do. But anyway, everybody knows this work of art. He was also fascinated by the anatomy of the body. So when it comes to certain organs and muscles of the body, he was constantly trying to really detail the anatomy of the body of the human. I'm sure you guys seen the image too before of the man kind of spread out, right? He's naked. I didn't put him up there because of that. Some of you aren't mature enough that obviously look at those types of images. But in any case, I'm sure you've seen that drawing before. And I'll have to look at the name of that. But again, just detailing about the anatomy, the muscular look, the masculinity of the man. All right, so the Last Supper, okay, that was another form of art that I think is interesting. Again, applying religion to these aspects of life and detailing about Jesus' Last Supper with his disciples, with his members of, obviously, his group. So I'm sure you've seen that work of art before too. But Da Vinci, he is known as the Renaissance man, okay? He is known as sharing a lot of these attributes, these ideas, these qualities that the Courtier describes. So Da Vinci, he becomes one of the most famous Renaissance men, the artist of the time period, and that we still talk about today. Michelangelo, I'm sure you guys know him, right? The orange Ninja Turtle with the nunchucks that loves the pizza. But Michelangelo, he's a sculptor. He is a sculptor of the time, famous for his creation of David. Okay, I don't have a picture of that, but I'm sure you've seen it before. Okay, and with that sculpture, he has Goliath's head standing, just laying right next to his statue, so showing his tribute, his power of the time period that made him famous. Also, with Michelangelo, I'm sure you know the Sistine Chapel. So a lot of the artwork on the ceiling of that chapel. Okay, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, he sat on his back constantly, time on end, to paint these works of art," which I'll show you the picture next of that. But realistically, he just stood there on these different types of scaffolding and constantly looked up. And he actually detailed about how annoying it was, and how discomforting it was, and to a point where he could read. He actually found it more comfortable to read with the book, if he's laying on his back with the book upright and holding it against his back. He found it a lot easier to do since he was constantly painting with his head arched back and standing pretty much on the tip of these types of works of art. And I thought that was interesting. But with Michelangelo, he's probably one of the most famous as well as Da Vinci of the Renaissance time period. And here's another sculpture that he completed. Okay, this is Jesus' dead body. Mary holding Jesus' body after the crucifixion, after his death. And that is heralded as one of his famous works of art as well. But again, a lot of people recognize the Sistine Chapel as his famous piece. Okay, as you can see here, here's God touching Adam's hand. Okay, I'm sure you guys know that story before Adam and Eve, obviously. But here's God, the divine, touching humans here on earth. And he's explaining really the time period with this piece, this work, right? And detailing about humanism, detailing about how divine spirit religion still reigns strong during this time period. But he painted all of these images here in the ceiling. And again, very difficult to do because he's constantly standing. You can only imagine how difficult that might be. Even though it's a small paintbrush, if you're constantly extended, that is going to cause some harm to you. That's going to really fatigue you over time. Dakota. What's that? Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. You can see here with Adam and Eve with the serpent, right? And how Eve eats the apple. And moving forward, there's many different stories from the Bible painted on that ceiling. So who do you think he painted this for? Oh yeah, got it, bud. Oh. Reagan. The church, good job. And who's the leader of the church? The Pope. Yeah, good job. There's a lot of stories with Michelangelo and the Pope actually fighting back and forth about the chapel and this painting. The Pope wanted to see his progress, and obviously this takes quite a bit of time to do. And the Pope was kind of rushing Michelangelo to do this and complete it. And Michelangelo was actually like, nope, back off. You'll see it once it's done. You can't see the artwork just midway. Or obviously it's not going to be as good as it would be as a shock to see it once it's completed. So in a way, Michelangelo held authority over the Pope in this certain time when he was completing this artwork. And it just goes to show, really with the Renaissance, these types of arts and these amazing features of artwork just reign supreme over anything else over the time period. What else, Aiden?
I found out what that drawing there.
Okay.
The Turbine Man.
Yep, exactly. Yep, good, good. All right, so with Michelangelo, another cool story about this with the Sistine Chapel is that Raphael, who we'll talk about here soon, he actually sees this artwork. He actually breaks into the chapel when it's partially way done, and he gets kind of ticked off. He sees that he's kind of jealous of his work, and I think that's kind of interesting too. Oh, I didn't get through it all. Sorry about that. But anyway, we just talked about Da Vinci and Michelangelo. We'll continue this again. See you guys later. Have a good one. Take care.